Warning: this episode contains themes and imagery that some may find disturbing. Proceed at your own risk, and please always be safe.
Mysterio, the marvelous master of illusions. The Scarecrow, Gotham's greatest fearbringer. And that says something. Any supervillain can threaten you physically, but only a select few can break your mind. When you can't trust your thoughts or senses, who's to say if you've really won when the fight seems over? Maybe that bed you're about to flop into after a long day of crime fighting is the edge of a roof, or, full of spiders. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Quentin Beck had always loved movies. Even as a child, he spent countless hours making homemade films, studying special effects, and teaching himself how to make stop-motion shorts. So it's no wonder that he found a career for himself in the entertainment industry, as an expert special effects artist and stuntman on the side. Still, he never achieved the fame he so desired. He tried acting, writing, you name it, but time and time again, he found himself turned away by publishers and producers, even when he thought he had the next best thing on his hands. This was made even more troublesome by the newest up-and-comer that had taken the world media by storm, the masked menace himself, Spider-Man. So, Beck decided he would kill two birds and one spider with a single stone. He would kill Spider-Man, eliminating his greatest opposition in the media and getting the attention of people the world over, all in one fell swoop. And he knew how to do it. After an accident with his effects backfired and horribly burned an actor, Quentin realized his technical know-how could be weaponized. After homing his technology into a veritable arsenal of visual wizardry, he would vow to destroy Spider-Man. Honestly, it seems like a pretty popular hobby in New York. Quentin would crown himself Mysterio, donning an equally flashy costume, which also seems like a popular hobby in New York. Mysterio's bread and butter tools are his illusions, marvels of special effects which he can create using gas from his suit, so he can also make use of hologram generators and pyrotechnics to really help sell them. They can produce sight, sound, and even smell, potent enough that even people with super senses like Wolverine can't see through them. And to make matters worse, he's got hard light technology, letting him make his illusions solid, making them even harder to tell apart, and letting them pack a bit of a punch. And he's a master at using these tricks. He can conjure up your usual fake imagery, like whole hosts of objects and monsters, create copies of himself or disguises, or even alter your entire surroundings. On multiple occasions, he's made people think they were shrunk down, and has even made himself appear larger than the planet, or create a desert that spans for miles. He can also turn invisible and reappear at will, letting him seemingly teleport if used in conjunction with his imagery. He's also got a selection of gas canisters, with a variety of purposes. Hallucinogens, acid mist, poisons of the knockout, paralysis, and lethal varieties, basic smoke bombs, even mind control gas, and a gas that makes you see your greatest fears. He himself is largely safe from these effects thanks to his protective suit that comes with half an hour of oxygen. He also just has guns. Hell yeah! That suit's not just for show. Not only can it protect him from toxins, but it can shoot acid, fire, electricity, let him see through illusions, detect hidden objects, emit EMPs that he himself is immune to, and enhances his physicality to superhuman levels. He was able to go toe-to-toe with the man without fear, Daredevil, who could move within a nanosecond and react at speeds over 5 times that of light. He was also able to trade blows with Joe Smith, who's strong enough to almost crack Captain America's skull. Though, of course, he's not quite in the same tier of power physically as Spidey, and is often overpowered by the web-slinger in direct confrontation. Fortunately, he has some big guns up his sleeve, like fake black holes that, despite being faked using suction devices, Spidey still struggled to pull himself out of. And, of course, a whole army of robots at his beck and call, which can let him scout and view from different locations, and have even been able to go toe-to-toe with Spider-Man before, and his illusions are just as tough. This is incredibly impressive given Spider-Man could survive this mountain-leveling explosion worth 606 kilotons of TNT. Though he's not without weakness. His boasting and showmanship has led to a massively inflated ego, and he can't help but put on a spectacle. And once you cut through the smoke and mirrors, he's a lot easier to handle, especially given if you can get rid of the suit's battery located in his arm, he shuts down. Though at the end of the day, he always seems to come back, never quite accepting the curtain call. He's tussled with any number of heroes, and can get real dark if need be. But the show must go on, and he'll always try to make every appearance a memorable one. Because if the world won't praise the name Quentin Beck, they'll come to fear the name Mysterio.
Welcome to my domain. I admit you progressed farther than I imagined, but now to all good things must come an end. For the fortune you gaze upon is your doom at the hands of Mysterio!
Jonathan Crane had always hated his family. Born outside the comforts of a city, Jonathan's father left before he was even born, and his mother was forced to leave the boy in the care of his fanatically devout great-grandmother. And boy, she did not practice what she preached. She'd horribly abused the boy, mentally and physically breaking him. That's not to mention all the bullying he received. With his outlandish interest and spindly frame, neighborhood goon would take to calling him the Scarecrow. Though the worst of these torments was cleaning out the family chapel, always infested with crows. His great-grandmother would dress him up to scare them away, lacing the suit with a special compound made to enhance the fright in the crows. It unfortunately also enhanced the fright in Jonathan, making him perpetually terrified of the matriarch. Eventually, Crane had had enough. Embracing his lanky body, he developed his own unique variant of kung fu, almost a sort of violent dancing. He'd also learned of the compound his great-grandmother had been using, and decided to take it for a more malicious spin. He struck back at his bullies one night, intending to give them a serious scare. It proved a bit too effective, and he unwillingly scared them to death. He became enthralled by this. All his life had been about fear, but he was finally now the one to use it. Deciding that fear couldn't control him if he controlled it, he'd use this same compound to aid in the murder of his great-grandmother, ending his abuse, but starting something much worse. He'd enroll at Gotham University as a psychologist focused on studying fear, and would eventually find himself a professor after the last one had a, accident. He would inevitably be dismissed, though, after lessons on fear went too far, and he discharged a revolver in the classroom. As it would happen, the people behind his firing also happened to have accidents, even after Crane moved on to his next job as a psychologist at Arkham Asylum. Eventually, though, these murders would get the attention of the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. Batman confronted Crane, who, in a last-ditch effort, threw on a makeshift costume and fully snapped, embracing the mocking title that had rung in his ears for so long, the Scarecrow. He was beaten and apprehended, but he was forever changed. He had mastered fear, and he wanted the world to know what that really meant, starting with the vigilante who locked him away. To accomplish this, he'd of course develop and hone his fear toxin. It can be administered any number of ways. Ingested, inhaled, even via the blade of his signature scythe, or from tipped straw quills he can fire from his costume. It's potent enough to make you hallucinate your worst fears made manifest, along with a whole host of other terrors, paralyzing you with such intense terror that it can often lead to PTSD or even outright fatal heart attacks. These hallucinations are so compelling that they've even been able to trap and restrain Superman. It's not uncommon for his victims to harm or even kill themselves just to make the fear end, and he's got plenty of variants. In addition to his standard toxins that bring out your worst personal fears, he's got a few custom-made ones. Your basic tall heights, spiders, monsters, the works, but also more esoteric stuff. He can make you think your face is melting off or your neck has been snapped, see him as giant, think the city has been destroyed, or even trap people in a whole new fictional reality. He also has a decent amount of special variants that can knock people out, give them general hallucinations, evoke anger instead of fear, corrode through suits, and even a special version that suppresses fear, making the victim think they can do anything. And he can spread his toxin in more ways than you'd think. He's got robotic drones he can deploy across the city with enough juice to cover all of Gotham, and he can spread it himself with specialized sprayers, in addition to emitting it from his straw costume. Or, if all else fails, he's also just carrying normal guns as well. He's also got an arsenal of more high-tech gizmos. He can project beams of fear somehow, or use special transmitters to project fear into your nervous system and fear center directly, which is just as potent as normal toxins, heart attack inducement included, which he himself is protected from thanks to a jammer in his costume. And to make matters worse, he's even whipped up a special device that lets his hallucinations become tangible and capable of inflicting physical damage. With his muscle prowess and deadly concoctions, he'd clash with Batman time and time again. He's no slouch in a fight, able to seriously contend with the Cape Crusader, the same guy who can hang hits from a gun that causes earthquakes, a feat worth almost 30 kilotons of TNT. Similarly, skilled fighters to Batman, like the heroine Black Canary, have even been able to react within a nanosecond at speeds almost 5 times that of light. Hey, that sounds familiar. He's even been able to mutate himself into the powerful Scarecrow using his toxins, shooting his power through the roof and even letting him dominate the likes of Batman. Though the Beast can be subdued with tranquilizers or other knockout drugs pretty easily. Crane is a genius, an expert fighter, but above all else, he is the symbol of terror in Gotham. Batman may make criminals shake in their boots, but no one, and we mean no one, quite knows how to inspire fear like the Scarecrow. And he won't stop until the world is subject to his cruel terrors, and everyone finally learns that the only thing to fear is fear itself.
Boo? Hey, is this some kind of joke?
It's no joke, I assure you. It's the fear of victory and the agony of the Scarecrow. So now you understand step 1 in how I fix an athletic contest. I shall proceed to step 2.
No! No! Get away!
Alright, then the bat's so set. We run the data through all possibilities. It's time for the...
It's time for our feature presentation. Please make sure your phones are silenced. Citizens of Gotham, for too long you have been haunted by nefarious ne'er-do-wells in the night. But today, this light comes to an end. Behold, Mysterio! I am no mere vigilante, my friends, for I am this world's master of the mystic arts.
Glorious screams. What interesting results.
Not so fast. You oh, hello there. You face Mysterio, master of the mystic arts.
How endearing. Let's see how far that bravado gets you, shall we? Allow me to demonstrate my own artistic mastery.
Oh, and what artistry may that be? A schlocky horror motion picture I'd pull from a discount bin? Please! Mysterio has no time for cheap scares!
You talk too much.
And yet I still kept my mouth shut on our shocking twist.
Yeah! Now, let me hear you scream!
He can't! Such agony! Such torment! What absolute blight! So close, yet so far, I'm afraid. Well, not of you, of course.
You are a fool to try to control me. Fear is my only master, and no one will reap its rewards but me!
My, you really are awful at taking direction, aren't you?
Perhaps. Why don't you show me how it's done? Nowhere to hide.
No! Back!
My turn. Well, Mr. Beck, while we appreciate the effort, that was, quite frankly, the worst scripted performance we have ever seen. If this is the trash you have the audacity to bring before us, you need to seriously reconsider what you're giving to this industry. You are a disgrace to our profession, Mr. Beck. If you truly want to be remembered, to have at least one person know your name once you're gone. Because God knows you're not leaving behind loved ones to really make a name for yourself in show business. Then get out of it. For once in your failure of a life, give the crowd what they want.
All of you, beneath me! For I am not merely Quentin Beck. I am Mysterio!
Impossible!
No, my frightful foe, your scene simply ran its course. Bear witness to the might of the great Mysterio! What paltry legacies we carve today matter not, for my name shall ripple to the rims of the universe and back!
Parlor tricks!
Feast your eyes on the unbelievable majesty of...
Shut up!
I must admit you... Oh no.
Let's end this.
No! Please! Make it stop!
As you wish. That's what I've been waiting for. Happy Halloween.
KO! Yeesh, well, I'm gonna need more therapy than usual. Mysterio may have been the master of illusions, but his arsenal just wasn't as deadly compared to the Scarecrow's. Yeah, basically everything the Scarecrow had would be able to put Mysterio down if he could pull it off. Even his most basic fear toxins would be able to paralyze and kill Mysterio all by themselves. Though it'd be easier said than done to do that, given Mysterio has, well, his suit, which has half an hour's supply of oxygen. Scarecrow does have ways around this though, such as his corrosive gas or the transmitter device. So the question became, would he be able to use those for Mysterio to secure the win for himself? And the answer is no, he couldn't.
Boy, sure glad I'm not that guy.
No!
I must say, you remind me of a certain other Scarecrow out of cinema history. The both of you are severely lacking in brains.
No. The gas! You should be. You need to learn the power of fear! Listen to your heart. You don't need your tricks. You can do anything now, can't you?
Please, I could always do anything.
You'll rue this day! You hear me?
Fear not, citizens! This dastardly attempt at evil has been thwarted by I, Mysterio!
good? Okay, I think we're good. This was a mind-bending fight to call, albeit one that would inevitably bend into Quentin's favor. Starting with their raw physicals, both were pretty evenly matched. Both could compare to feats of power worth around 30 kilotons of TNT, and both could react at around 5 times the speed of light, though Mysterio had the slight edge in both cases. And frankly, this fight was never going to be determined from simple stats anyways. Both of these characters tend to avoid direct confrontation, though in that regard, the Scarecrow is superior to Mysterio. Yeah, Beck may have been more physically fit thanks to his stuntman training, but Crane's a trained fighter who can go toe-to-toe with Batman. A bare-knuckle brawl would definitely favor the Doctor. Unfortunately for Crane, when comparing their respective abilities, his came up short compared to the Master of Illusions. For starters, Mysterio didn't need to worry about dosing Crane with anything or using special tricks to get his illusions working. He could simply create them whenever he pleased. Compare that to the Scarecrow, who, one way or another, would need to administer the toxin. He did have ways to do that remotely, mind you, like his transmitters, but Mysterio's EMP would let him shut them down. And Scarecrow's main method of spreading it, his gas, wouldn't be able to affect Mysterio's airtight suit. His corrosive variant would still prove a threat to Beck, but he'd be hard-pressed to be able to land the dose anyways, given Mysterio had plenty of tricks to help him avoid Crane, like turning invisible, trapping Crane in an illusory world, or overwhelming him with robots or hard-line illusions, which, it goes without saying, aren't susceptible to fear. Speaking of those illusions and robots, they're easily the most powerful thing on the field. While Scarecrow and Mysterio themselves are comparable in strength, Quentin's constructs can overpower the likes of Spider-Man, who's much stronger than either of them. Scarecrow would be totally overwhelmed by even a single one, let alone an army. Even the Scarebeast likely wouldn't be strong enough to match them. And if it was, its vulnerability to poison is something Mysterio could absolutely exploit. So, with Scarecrow unable to work his magic on Mysterio's army and struggling to find Mysterio himself, he likely wouldn't get the chance to show off his combat superiority. Don't get us wrong, if Scarecrow successfully hit Quentin with a full dose of toxin, it'd be over for Mysterio. But doing that is much easier said than done, with how layered Mysterio's defenses are. In contrast, Mysterio himself wouldn't even necessarily have to be present for one of his illusions or robots to tear Crane apart, and he can still of course get the job done himself with things like his lethal gas. There's no trick to the street, and eventually the curtains had to fall on Scarecrow's final act. I guess it makes sense. As a filmmaker, Quentin has experience working with cranes. The winner is Mysterio.
This election year, make sure that your voice is heard and your voice counts. Make sure that you know the facts that Stephen Armstrong is under investigation for ties to private military companies, that he cannot be trusted to have the interests of America at heart. So vote instead for someone who does. Vote for someone who will ensure misfortune will never again befall you. Vote for someone who will guarantee that when the world burns down, America will still shine in the ashes. Vote for someone who will bring Christ and our country together again. Vote for someone who will do everything in his power to stop Stephen Armstrong. Vote for Funny Valentine.